Stamps. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I've got another video of my Getting Started challenge cards. Many projects, few supplies, and it's almost Valentine's Day, so I made another Love You card. Let's get started. From Something to Say, we are going to use Love You Always and the heart. From the inks, we're going to use Calypso Coral, but you could also do the same card in Blackberry Bliss, which I think would be lovely. From the Getting Started embellishments, we'll use this small Calypso Coral tag and 18 inches of the baker's twine. From the Designer Series paper, the Moonlight Designer Series paper stack, any of these neutral colors will work. I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to cut it directly in half. This is 6.5 by 4.5, so my paper will be 4.5 by 3.25, and that's this size. Of course, we'll need our card base, and I'm going to use any of your card bases that you have will work. I think I'll use the basic one, and we also need an envelope, of course. I'm just going to use my Calypso Coral and stamp randomly around the edges of this card. And really it's just going to be about 1/2 inch around the edge that I need to cover. I'm turning my hearts, and I'm not worrying about perfect stamps, but I'm just kind of stamping randomly. Getting kind of an overall pattern. And then as I'm getting closer to covering my whole area, I'm trying to fill in the holes. Make sure to stamp off the edge, and it's okay to overlap your hearts. But I don't want like a ton here and then hardly any here. I want it kind of evenly scattered, if that makes any sense. And then I want to make sure I've got everything I needed covered. So if I had Calypso Coral cardstock, I'd probably have a layer just a little bit larger than this. But since I don't, I'm just going to brush the edge of my cardstock on my stamp pad, and that gives kind of an irregular border, but that will highlight the edge. Some of this doesn't look like much, but when I put it on my card, it will stand out. Didn't get quite enough here, so I'm going to go back and get that side. And I think that'll do it. Now I'm just going to glue this down. Any of your adhesives will work here. I'm using the multi-purpose liquid glue. But if you have any, double stick tape or whatever, that will work too. Or if you're using our snail, the liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room. A little bit forgiving that way. Take your baker's twine and fold it in half, and have your cords side by side, and tie a knot, just an overhand knot. An overhand knot, I guess I should show you, is just making a loop and then take the end, the folded end, through the hole. And in this case we want just a tiny little loop hanging out. And if you have those cords side by side, your knot will look neater. And about 4 inches away from that, tie another overhand knot. Again, try not to twist your cords like I was about to do. If they twist, it's okay, but it'll just look neater if it's side by side, like so. And trim the ends. Now, if you're using liquid glue, this next part will take a little longer because you want to give it a chance to dry. But if you have mini glue dots, I'm using mini glue dots because they don't need to dry and they're small, and that's what I want. I'm going to turn this so my loop is facing downward, and then I'm just going to put a little mini glue dot and stick that down. I think I'm going to stick another glue dot under this loop part to make sure that part doesn't move. Now I'm going to separate these and bring it around this way, and I'm creating a heart. So you'll need another couple of glue dots down here. To hold that knot in place. And you really just need a couple right on the edges here to hold this where you want it angled. I suppose you could put glue all the way around, but you don't really need that at all. I've got a heart. I want to stamp "Love You" and "Love You Always" on this card. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp "Love You Always" on the inside. And I think I'm going to need a couple of hearts here. And then on the front of the card, I just want "Love You." I don't want "Love You Always." So I'm going to go ahead and ink up "Love You Always." But I'm going to use a baby wipe and remove the ink from the "always." Be careful not to remove the ink from the words you want. And then remember that "love you," when you go to center it, it's the "love you" part that you want to center on here. And there you have "love you." And I'm going to pop this up with a couple of dimensionals. And I got a little bit of "always" showing through, and I didn't want that, so I guess I didn't wipe my baby wipe as much as I thought. So I think what I'll do is tie a little tiny bow with that baker's twine. I guess I could also put a heart there. Let's see, do I want to put a heart or a bow there? I think I want to put a bow. So I'm just tying a little tiny bow with the baker's twine. Just enough to, we're not going to totally cover it, but we're going to disguise that oopsie. And again, I'll put this down with glue dots or your liquid glue. And you'll never see that. "Love you, love you always." Now don't send a naked envelope. So I'm just going to put a few hearts here. And my card is done. If you would like more information about my Getting Started Challenge, many projects, few supplies, come on over to bevadams.com, and I have a video explaining the challenge, and I also have links to all the supplies that you need. Thank you for stopping by, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye.